This Earned Value Management System, commonly referred to as EVMS, training Snippet, is sponsored by the United States Department of Energy's Office of Project Management. This snippet discusses the intent, roles, and responsibilities, and processes involved in conducting a certification of a contractor's EVMS. An EVMS certification review is a type of EVMS compliance review. This snippet focuses on the certification process. The intent of EVMS certification reviews is shown in 4 steps. First, the certification review process is designed to ensure deployment of the contractor system is compliant with EIA 748 and the requirements of DOE Order 413.3b. Second, the system must be implemented in a manner such that all EVMS applicable projects are compliant with the requirements and provide accurate and reliable data for planning and management of cost, schedule, and technical performance. Third, the review process also is used to assess the contractor's maintenance of the EVM system. Fourth, documentation is a necessity to ensure a defensible record is kept for not only DOE and the contractor, but also should either be subject to an outside government audit. Another reason for maintaining a record is to support acceptance of the contractor's system by another federal agency under other contractual circumstances. Certification is not intended to verify how well projects or programs are performing, but rather to assess the capability of the system for use in planning, to provide an objective measure of progress, and the effective use of the system for making management decisions. Project data are simply means of demonstrating EVMS compliance. Elements of the EVMS, that is, the design as reflected by policies, procedures, and processes, and the implementation as reflected by reports and other documents, are evaluated individually and as a whole to make sure that they meet the intent of EIA 748. The certifying authority for EVMS compliance reviews is the Office of Project Management, referred to as PM. PM is responsible for establishing, maintaining, and executing the EVMS certification and surveillance review processes in accordance with established levels to ensure full compliance with applicable federal acquisition regulations and Office of Management and budget requirements. Compliance requirements and thresholds defined in DOE Order 413.3b include: for contractors where there are applicable projects having a total project cost, or TPC, of $100 million or greater, PM conducts the certification review process and certifies the contractor's EVMS compliance with EIA 748, or as required by the contract. On an exception basis, or at the request of the Program Office's Project Management Support Office, or PMSO, PM may conduct compliance reviews of contractors with applicable projects that have a TPC between $50 million and $100 million. For contractors where there are applicable projects with a TPC between $50 million and $100 million, the contractor is required to maintain an EVMS compliant with EIA 748. Does this mean that the contractor self-certifies? No, it does not. It means that the contractor is contractually bound to maintain and be able to demonstrate an EVMS compliant to EIA 748. PM30 organizes, plans, and leads EVMS certification assessments. The key positions, roles, and responsibilities of EVMS certification reviews are as follows. The Review Director is a PM30 senior representative responsible for ultimate approval of EVMS findings and reports. The PM30 Director typically fills this position unless otherwise delegated. The Review Director assigns the Review Chief and approves the selection of the Review Deputy and Review Assistant. The Review Director is responsible for all decisions of EVMS noncompliance. The Review Chief is responsible for the overall conduct of assessment and review, and for leading the review team in the execution of its duties and responsibilities before, during, and after the compliance review. A member of the PM30 staff typically fills this position. The Review Chief identifies and nominates the Review Deputy, Review Assistant, and Review Team to the Review Director for his or her approval. The review chief is responsible for ensuring team members sign non-disclosure agreements prior to receiving access to contractor data. The review deputy supports the review chief and is responsible for the operation of the review team and the EVMS compliance review process. This position is typically filled by an EVMS subject matter expert on the PM30 staff or obtained through contract support. The review assistant assists the review chief in handling all administrative details of the review, including particularly document control. This position is typically filled by an EVMS subject matter expert on PM30 staff or obtained through contract support. One of the most critical tasks for the review assistant is to maintain the review log and serve as the go-between for all phases of corrective action requests, discrepancy reports, and continuous improvement opportunities development. The process or area team lead is assigned by the review chief and is responsible for assessment and documentation of one or more of the 6 areas of the EIA 748 EVMS guidelines. The process or area team lead considers the adequacy of the 10 core management processes associated with an integrated project management approach, that is, organizing, planning and scheduling, budgeting and work authorization, material management, subcontract management, analysis and managerial reporting, change control, accounting considerations, indirect cost management, and risk management. This will be accomplished by conducting a process capability assessment to test the ability of a core management process and practice to meet prescribed EIA 748 compliance guidelines. The final determination of EVMS compliance for a process capability is accomplished by looking over a specified period time to determine how well a process meets a set of specific limits. The process or area team lead's tasks begin at the data analysis step and continues through post-review and closeout step. Output documents include but are not limited to providing analysis results of concerns to the respective interview team leads, the guideline summary for area of responsibility, and the associated CARs, DRs, and CIOs. The process or area team lead assigns team members early in the data analysis step to ensure the team is involved, prepared, and diligently executes their duties associated with the EVMS compliance process. The interview team leads may be federal employees, energy facility contractors group members, abbreviated as EFCOG, EVMS or project control analysts, or contracted resources. The interview team leads are responsible for planning, scheduling, performance, and accurate reporting of the interviews and discussions held with control account managers and other contractor personnel, including various managers and project management personnel, as determined by the review director and review chief. Review team members are federal employees, FCOG EVMS or project controls analysts, and contracted resources with EVMS compliance assessment experience. Review team members are responsible for performing detailed evaluations of a contractor's EVMS within their assigned area. Review team members typically serve cross-functional roles as both process or area and interview team members, supporting a process or area analysis, as well as conducting and documenting the interviews. The phases for a certification review include the initial visit, data analysis, readiness assessment, on-site preparation and review, and post-review and closeout. We will discuss each phase on the following slides. The certification process starts with an initial visit at the contractor's offices. This is usually a 1 to 2 day visit by the review director and review chief with the contractor's team. The review director explains the certification review process, sets review expectations among the stakeholders, and identifies potential concerns with the contractor's EVMS processes and procedures, and areas of noncompliance already observed. The contractor's team can take advantage of this visit to ask questions about the areas of compliance they are struggling with or are unclear about, and to clear up any misunderstandings of the certification process flow. During the data analysis, the review team sends a notification to the contractor requesting data and artifacts, contractor independent assessments, their EVMS system description and supporting procedures with the EVMS cross-reference checklist. The letter may also request a webinar for the contractor to provide a demonstration of their system. Upon receipt of the information request, the team then begins their analysis. Much of the data analysis is automated using software. However, the results are based on thresholds which are flagged if missed. The analysts review the flagged results against data artifacts to determine compliance or need for follow-up interview questions. The contractor's independent assessment and past interval surveillances are reviewed by the process or area team leads to assess completeness and compare with the results of the data analysis. The review chief and process or area leads review the contractor's EVM system description and supporting procedures for EIA 748 compliance using the EVMS cross-reference checklist from Appendix A of the ECR SOP. The reviewer provides specific rationale for identified non-compliant text in the contractor's EVM system description, but does not recommend revised language to the contractor, as this could interfere with the contractor's business practices. The process or area leads will document the results of their review and identify any concerns that need further assessment. This documentation will be provided to the review chief as soon as practicable. The review chief will then coordinate with the review director for use in a determination to proceed to the next step. Should non-compliance and material data validity issues be found, it may be necessary for the process or area leads to issue preliminary corrective action requests and/or discrepancy reports prior to the readiness assessment phase. If so, the contractor must make appropriate corrections and resubmit new data and artifacts for the review team to analyze. The purpose of the readiness assessment is for a final determination to be made whether the contractor is ready for the formal review, or if the contractor needs additional time to correct findings resulting from the prior data analysis phase. The readiness assessment phase also allows for a readiness assist visit to aid the contractor by explaining the current issues and to further assess the contractor's state of readiness for the formal EVMS review. Readiness assist visits are conducted on an as-needed basis as determined by the review director based on the indication of the contractor's readiness to date. If it is determined that the contractor is not ready, the review director or review chief will notify the contracting officer and the contractor of the decision and the subsequent canceling or postponement of the pending EVMS certification review. The review chief will update the review schedule based on the follow-on actions required, if any. If the data analysis phase identifies significant data anomalies and core management process issues that require corrective action before proceeding further, the review chief will prepare corrective action reports and discrepancy reports, and will develop a readiness assessment report for the review director's approval and subsequent submittal to the contracting officer. The first step in this phase is to notify the contractor of the team composition, team meeting room requirements, draft agenda, interview room requirements, and any additional artifacts that are needed prior to the team's visit. The team completes their final analysis and identifies interview questions to populate the interview findings form. The EVM system description review is completed. At this point, the review director can advise the contractor who will be interviewed based on results and analysis, and the agenda can be finalized. Besides control account managers and project controls, other key people to be interviewed may include contractor's senior executives, project manager, business manager, functional managers, major subcontractor manager, indirect manager, master schedule planner, accounting manager, and risk manager. The review chief submits the necessary pre-visit security information for team members. The on-site review begins with a briefing by the review director. The contractor normally provides a briefing that has been discussed with the review chief in advance to ensure items of interest for the team are covered. The team members then can begin conducting interviews, which is the most important piece of the on-site review. The review director and review chief lead interviews of management personnel. The interview teams conduct interviews of the control account managers and project control staff. Interviews are conducted using a tailored interview findings form for each person interviewed, based on areas of concern identified during the data analysis and artifact traces. After each interview, the team will draft any corrective action requests, discrepancy reports, or continuous process opportunities. At the end of each day, the review director briefs the contractor. On the last day of the review director conducts an exit brief to the contractor, covering any potential findings at a high level. Findings are completed in the next phase. During this phase of the review process, the process or area teams and interview teams complete the documentation of findings on either a CAR or DR format. These are then reviewed by the review chief and review director. The review chief will begin draft the EVMS review report. Once the review director and review chief have finalized the corrective action requests and discrepancy reports, they will submit them to the contractor for the purposes of a factual accuracy review. The contractor may provide comments relating to the accuracy of the facts and exhibits stated in the corrective action request and discrepancy report that led to the determination. However, the intent is not to debate the overall conclusion of non-compliance. After the completion of the factual accuracy review, the contractor's comments are reviewed by the review director and review chief, and changes to the draft report are made if needed. The review chief will complete the report and will provide it to the review director for concurrence and issuance by the PM Office Director. The letter of transmittal will identify the contractor's next steps and will identify the timeframe for submittal of a Corrective Action Management Plan, or CAMP. The preparation of the CAMP is an iterative process, led by the contractor but monitored by the review director and review chief. Routine meetings are held between the review director and review chief throughout the CAMP process to monitor progress, understand the results of root cause analysis, and determine the corrective action requests and discrepancy reports closeout process. The review chief, in consultation with the review director, will plan, schedule, and approve all verification follow-up actions and closure of corrective action requests and discrepancy reports. This may be done on-site or remotely, depending on the nature of each EVMS issue. The contractor will provide the evidence package for closeout, and the review chief and review director will conduct the closeout review either remotely or on-site. Once all corrective action requests and discrepancy reports have been closed, the review director will inform the director of the Office of Project Management, who will approve and issue the closeout report with memorandum of certification to the contracting officer. Lastly, the review chief ensures that all documentation relative to the review process and final determination is submitted into the PARS document management system. The length of the process is dependent on the contractor readiness and willingness to promptly and properly address issues identified during the various stages. While there is a possibility it could be done in less time, it may take up to 15 months or longer to proceed through the phases. This timeline includes a 1 to 2 day initial visit, a data analysis phase, may include an on-site readiness assessment visit, a 1 or 2 week on-site compliance review, the contractor component of developing and completing the Corrective Action Management Plan, followed by the follow-up review phase to close corrective action requests and discrepancy reports by verifying implementation of corrective actions. The duration of each phase and step of an EVMS compliance review will vary depending on several factors to include, but not limited to, the size of the project and the maturity of the contractor's EVMS, etc. A notional timeline for an EVMS certification is between 12 and 15 months. Changes to policies and procedures are expected and encouraged as a matter of continuous improvement. The contractor must notify the DOE's certifying authority when making any changes to its system description and supporting procedures per DOE Order 413.3b, FAR 52.234-4E, and DOE H2024. This requirement is designed to protect both parties in the event a change may unintentionally cause non-compliance. The contractor submits the notification of all proposed changes to the EVMS procedures and the impact of those changes to the contracting officer. Any changes to a PM-certified EVMS proposed by the contractor require approval of DOE PM prior to the implementation. PM will advise the contractor of the acceptability of such changes as soon as practicable, generally within 30 calendar days, after receipt of the contractor's notice of proposed changes. If the change causes non-compliance, which cannot be resolved, the contracting officer should send a letter of non-consent based on the findings of the certifying authority. The contractor is encouraged to submit the proposed process changes electronically to both the contracting officer and certifying authority simultaneously to avoid delays in approval. Sometimes there are special cases when determining certification. The first case involves a corporate certification. DOE Order 413.3b allows a contractor to adopt its existing DOE-certified EVMS for application under a new contract at another location. For a pre-existing certified EVMS to be considered, the contractor must provide the prior certification documentation to the responsible DOE certifying organization. The certifying authority must conduct an implementation review, typically prior to CD3. Other certification issues will be handled on a case-by-case basis, such as one or more EVMS certified contractors from a limited liability corporation, LLC, and adopt an existing certified EVMS, or a new contractor adopts the incumbent contractor's certified EVMS. DOE will conduct either a certification or an implementation review before granting a certification of compliance. The phases for a certification review include the initial visit, data analysis, readiness assessment, on-site preparation and review, and post-review and closeout. The duration of each phase and step of an EVMS compliance review will vary depending on several factors, to include but not limited to the size of the project and the maturity of the contractor's EVMS, etc. A notional timeline for an EVMS certification is between 12 and 15 months. Changes to policies and procedures are expected and encouraged as a matter of continuous improvement. The contractor must notify the DOE certifying authority when making any changes to its system description and supporting. This requirement is designed to protect both parties in the event a change may unintentionally cause non-compliance. Special circumstances apply when a contractor has been previously certified and moves to a new location, when a certified contractor forms an LLC with other contractors, and when a new contractor adopts an incumbent contractor's EVMS. For additional information on EVMS certification reviews, please refer to the EVMS Compliance Review Standard Operating Procedures, available along with other EVMS procedures, templates, helpful references, training materials, and other snippets on the DOE PM's external EVM homepage, or the internal max.gov PM library, listed on the slide. Check back periodically for updated or new information. Thank you for using the Snippet library.